If you think every can of tuna on the grocery shelf contains exactly what's printed on the label, you may want to watch this before your next shopping trip. Millions of Americans buy canned tuna every week because it's affordable, high in protein, and considered one of the healthiest pantry staples available. But behind the familiar labels is an industry that's far more complicated than most shoppers realize. Independent investigations, DNA testing, supply chain controversies, and even federal criminal cases have raised serious questions about some of the biggest names in canned tuna. While some brands have earned consumer trust through transparency, others have faced criticism over sourcing practices, labeling concerns, or corporate misconduct. Today, we're counting down 7 of America's most popular canned tuna brands, examining what critics, investigators, and publicly available reports have revealed, along with 2 brands that stand out for doing things differently. Some of these names have been in American kitchens for generations, but by the end of this video, you may never look at the tuna aisle the same way again. Number 7, Genova. Genova has long positioned itself as the premium choice on the shelf. The elegant Italian branding, olive oil packaging, and higher price immediately suggest a product that's somehow more authentic than the average can of tuna. That first impression is exactly what attracts many shoppers. The company is indeed owned by an Italian seafood corporation, but that doesn't necessarily mean every can comes from Italian fisheries or follows traditional Mediterranean sourcing methods. Like many global seafood brands, Genova relies on an international supply network where fish may pass through multiple countries before reaching store shelves. For consumers, that creates a challenge. The packaging emphasizes heritage and quality, yet the company provides relatively little detail about exactly where each batch of fish originates or how it moves through the supply chain. Another point that often comes up is the olive oil itself. Because the label typically doesn't identify the origin or grade of the oil, buyers are left assuming they're receiving premium extra virgin olive oil when that may not always be clear from the packaging alone. For a product that commands a noticeably higher price than many competitors, shoppers naturally expect greater transparency, not simply stronger branding. If you're paying extra, you're not just buying tuna. You're buying confidence in what's inside the can. Number 6, Market Pantry. At first glance, Market Pantry feels like the smarter store brand choice. The clean packaging, Target branding, and slightly higher price compared to other private label tuna give the impression that you're getting a better product. Many shoppers assume that paying a little more means stricter quality standards somewhere behind the scenes. But that's not necessarily how private label products work. Unlike traditional seafood companies, Target doesn't own fishing fleets or tuna processing facilities. Instead, Market Pantry products are manufactured by suppliers selected through procurement contracts. Those suppliers can change over time depending on pricing, production capacity, and availability. That means the can may look exactly the same every time you shop, while the company producing the tuna inside could be different from one contract period to the next. For the average customer, that's information you'll never see on the label. Another concern raised by consumer advocates is traceability. Market Pantry provides only the basic sourcing information required by U.S. labeling regulations. You won't typically find the name of the fishery, detailed catch locations, or independent species verification printed on the package. That doesn't automatically mean the tuna is poor quality. However, it does make it much harder for shoppers to verify where the fish came from or how it was handled before reaching the shelf. When transparency is limited, consumers are asked to trust the supply chain without being given many details to support that trust. So before tossing a can into your cart simply because it's sold at Target, flip it over and read the entire label. Look for certifications, sourcing information, and ingredient details, not just an attractive front design. Sometimes the difference between a premium-looking label and a truly premium product is much smaller than most shoppers realize. Number 5, Great Value Tuna. For millions of families, Great Value Tuna is the go-to budget option. When you're feeding an entire household or trying to stretch your grocery budget, it's hard to ignore one of the lowest-priced cans on the shelf. After all, tuna has long been one of the most affordable sources of protein available. But low prices usually come from somewhere. Like most private label products, Great Value Tuna isn't produced by Walmart itself. The retailer works with outside manufacturers that compete for supply contracts, and those contracts can change over time. As suppliers change, sourcing practices and processing facilities may change as well, even though the packaging looks exactly the same. That's one of the biggest challenges with many store brands. The label stays familiar, but the company behind the product may not. Another issue is transparency. Unlike some premium brands, Great Value generally provides limited information about where the fish was caught, which fisheries supplied it, or whether the species has been independently verified beyond standard regulatory requirements. That doesn't automatically make it a bad product. However, when consumers have very little visibility into the supply chain, it becomes much harder to judge consistency from one purchase to the next. Quality can vary between production runs, and unless you're carefully comparing labels, you'll likely never notice if a different supplier is filling the cans. There's another simple trick experienced tuna buyers often use. After opening the can, take a moment to look at the liquid before draining it. A consistent appearance, clean aroma, and firm texture throughout the fish are generally signs of careful processing. If the contents appear unusually inconsistent in color or texture, it may simply reflect natural variation. But it's also a good reminder to pay closer attention before making that brand your regular choice. For shoppers focused only on price, Great Value can seem like an easy decision. But when you're buying canned tuna every week, consistency and transparency can matter just as much as saving a few cents per can. Number 4. Chicken of the Sea. Few canned tuna brands are as recognizable as Chicken of the Sea. For more than a century, the iconic mermaid logo has been a familiar sight in American kitchens. Many families have bought it for generations, rarely stopping to question what's behind one of the most recognizable names in the seafood aisle. That kind of trust is incredibly valuable. But over the past decade, the company behind the brand has attracted significant public attention, not because of its advertising, but because of investigations into parts of its global seafood supply chain. Chicken of the Sea is owned by Thai Union, one of the world's largest seafood companies. With operations spanning numerous countries and processing facilities, its massive scale allows the company to supply retailers around the globe. But it also creates a supply chain that's far more complex than most consumers realize. In 2015, a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigation by the Associated Press exposed serious labor abuses involving parts of Thailand's commercial fishing industry. The reporting documented cases of forced labor and human trafficking connected to vessels supplying portions of the global seafood market. The revelations sparked worldwide criticism and prompted major seafood companies, including Thai Union, to announce reforms and strengthen oversight. Since then, the company has introduced new sustainability initiatives, increased auditing, and publicly committed to improving traceability. However, critics argue that monitoring an international seafood network involving hundreds of vessels, multiple countries, and numerous processing facilities remains an enormous challenge. Even with audits and certifications, verifying every step of a global supply chain is far more difficult than managing a smaller domestic operation. For shoppers, that doesn't necessarily mean every can is unsafe. It does mean that transparency becomes increasingly important as supply chains grow more complicated. When buying canned tuna, don't focus only on the logo you've trusted for years. Turn the can over and look for information about sourcing, certifications, catch methods, and traceability. Brands willing to provide detailed information often make it much easier for consumers to understand exactly what they're purchasing. Sometimes the most familiar brand isn't automatically the easiest one to verify. Number 3. Bumblebee Foods. For decades, Bumblebee has been one of the biggest names in canned tuna. It's a brand that millions of Americans recognize instantly, and for many shoppers, it's been a trusted pantry staple for generations. But unlike the brands we've covered so far, Bumblebee's biggest controversy didn't begin with questions about sourcing. It began in a federal courtroom. In 2019, Bumblebee's former CEO, Christopher Leshowski, was convicted for participating in a conspiracy to fix canned tuna prices in the United States. The company had already filed for bankruptcy that same year, making it one of the most significant scandals the canned seafood industry had ever seen. Although the company later emerged under new ownership with updated branding and renewed promises of sustainability and transparency, many consumers wondered whether anything had truly changed beyond the logo. That's the question worth asking. When a company rebuilds after a major scandal, what matters isn't the marketing campaign. It's whether shoppers can clearly see meaningful improvements in how products are sourced, tested, and verified. Today, Bumblebee continues to promote responsible seafood practices, but many of its standard product lines still provide only limited information about the exact fishery, harvest location, or independently verified chain of custody behind each can. For buyers who value traceability, that lack of detail leaves important questions unanswered. Without clear documentation, it's difficult to know precisely where the fish originated or how many hands it passed through before arriving on the grocery shelf. There's another reason consistency matters. When you open a can of solid white albacore, the fish should generally have a firm texture, even color, and muscle fibers that look uniform throughout the can. While natural variation is completely normal, dramatic differences in texture or appearance can leave shoppers wondering about processing consistency. Ultimately, Bumblebee's biggest challenge isn't convincing consumers that it has changed. It's proving that change with transparent sourcing, clear documentation, and information that buyers can independently verify. After a scandal of this scale, trust isn't rebuilt through advertising. It's rebuilt one can at a time. Number 2, StarKist. If there's one canned tuna brand almost every American recognizes, it's StarKist. The bright yellow cans and Charlie the tuna mascot have been part of grocery stores for generations. For many families, buying StarKist has become second nature. It's familiar, affordable, and easy to find almost anywhere. But familiarity doesn't always tell the whole story. In 2019, StarKist pleaded guilty in a federal investigation involving price fixing within the canned tuna industry and agreed to pay a $100 million criminal fine. The case revealed that several major tuna companies had illegally coordinated prices instead of competing fairly, affecting consumers across the country. While the legal case centered on pricing rather than product safety, it damaged consumer confidence in one of America's best-known seafood brands. Beyond the courtroom, StarKist has also faced questions from researchers and consumer advocates regarding product consistency and sourcing transparency. Some independent studies have examined species identification in canned tuna products across the industry, highlighting how difficult it can be for consumers to verify exactly what's inside a sealed can without advanced testing. Those findings have fueled broader conversations about traceability throughout the seafood supply chain. Another topic frequently discussed is mercury. Like all tuna brands, mercury levels can vary depending on the species being used. Larger species generally accumulate more mercury over time, which is why health authorities recommend that pregnant women, young children, and other sensitive groups pay close attention to the type of tuna they consume and the recommended serving frequency. That's not unique to StarKist, but it's an important reminder for anyone who eats canned tuna regularly. Before adding a can to your shopping cart, take a few extra seconds to read the label. Check whether the product clearly identifies the species, compare the nutrition facts, and look for brands that provide detailed sourcing information instead of relying solely on decades of brand recognition. A familiar mascot may inspire confidence, but informed shoppers know that transparency is worth far more than nostalgia. Number 1. Safe Catch Elite. Safe Catch Elite stands apart from every other brand on today's list, not because of a scandal, but because of a promise. While most canned tuna companies test only samples from a production batch, Safe Catch built its reputation around testing every individual fish for mercury before it goes into a can. That's a claim the company has promoted heavily, particularly to pregnant women, families, and health-conscious consumers looking for a safer seafood option. That commitment deserves recognition. Among the major brands on the market, made mercury testing such a central part of their identity. But even a strong safety promise shouldn't stop shoppers from reading the rest of the label. One criticism often raised by nutrition experts is that many consumers become so focused on the mercury claim that they overlook other nutritional details. Depending on the variety you choose, sodium levels can be noticeably higher than some shoppers expect from a brand marketed as a premium health option. For most healthy adults, that may not be a major concern. However, people managing high blood pressure, heart disease, or sodium-restricted diets should always compare nutrition labels before making Safe Catch, or any canned tuna, their everyday choice. The lesson here isn't that Safe Catch is a bad product. It's that one outstanding feature doesn't automatically make every aspect of a product perfect. Smart shoppers look at the complete nutrition panel, ingredients, serving size, and sodium content instead of focusing on a single marketing message. In many ways, Safe Catch sets an example for the industry with its mercury testing. Just remember that the healthiest choice is always the one that fits your overall dietary needs. not simply the one with the strongest headline on the label. Best buy number 2, American Tuna. If you're looking for a brand built around transparency instead of mass production, American Tuna is one of the strongest options available. Unlike many large international seafood companies, American Tuna sources Pacific albacore caught by American fishing families operating along the U.S. West Coast. The fish are processed domestically, creating a shorter and easier-to-follow supply chain. That simplicity makes a real difference. With fewer middlemen and fewer international transfer points, consumers have a much clearer picture of where their seafood comes from. The ingredient list is refreshingly simple. The sourcing information is easy to understand, and the company has built its reputation around quality rather than volume. You'll usually pay more than you would for supermarket brands. But for many shoppers, that extra cost buys something far more valuable than premium packaging. It buys confidence. If traceability is one of your top priorities, American Tuna deserves a place near the top of your shopping list. Best buy number 1, Wild Planet Tuna. If one brand consistently earns praise from seafood experts and health-conscious shoppers alike, it's Wild Planet. From the beginning, the company focused on building a supply chain centered around sustainability, traceability, and minimal processing rather than competing on price alone. One of its biggest advantages is its fishing method. Wild Planet uses pole and line fishing for many of its tuna products, a highly selective technique that catches one fish at a time. This method reduces bycatch and helps maintain better control over the quality of the catch. The company also keeps its ingredient list remarkably simple. Many varieties contain only tuna and sea salt, without unnecessary fillers, added broths, or excess water designed to increase the can's weight. Wild Planet also provides more detailed sourcing information than many mainstream competitors, making it easier for consumers to understand where their tuna came from and how it was caught. Is it the cheapest option? Not even close. But when you consider the emphasis on responsible fishing, cleaner ingredients, and stronger supply chain transparency, many shoppers find the higher price worthwhile. Sometimes paying a little more isn't about buying a premium label. It's about buying greater confidence in what's actually inside the can. Canned tuna is still one of the most convenient, affordable, and nutritious proteins you can keep in your pantry. But as today's list shows, not every brand offers the same level of transparency. Some companies have faced legal controversies. Others provide very little information about where their fish comes from. And a few have gone the extra mile by offering better traceability, cleaner ingredients, or stronger safety commitments. The next time you're standing in the tuna aisle, don't choose based on the logo alone. Turn the can over, read the ingredient list, check the sodium content. Look for information about the fishing method, sourcing, certifications, and mercury testing. A few extra seconds can help you make a much more informed decision for yourself and your family. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And let us know in the comments, which canned tuna brand do you trust the most? And which one surprised you the most today? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.